Hey yo YouTube, I'm here to continue talking about my D&D game, the Bandit Titans, where we last left off. We just killed the Red Dragon. Initially I say that Smite walks up, pulls out a ceremonial cup and dagger and stabs it, fills up some blood, and says a prayer, and him and Hellfire drink it, and then take it to if I remember right, it's rolling off Lockhart. I always just say Lockhart. But I take it to him and say, "Here, Dragon Lord." And the DM's like, "Well, before you do that, before all that happens, Maravik steps up, announces Dragon Lord rolling off Lockhart. And he actually might have gets on top of the dragon and stabs it, and then she says that officially announcing him as a Dragon Lord. And then like the DL says you do the drinking stuff and like he's like, "You want me to drink that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And like he says it burns. I'm like, I kill rolling off. Uh, I do suggest like maybe we should go round up the Cobbles, make them play allegiance to him. I do say like if we're by a nest, we're not going to be able to chase them into it. At the very least, find some eggs, and in like 6 years, we'll have a horde. And I also mentioned like taking the cave as territory of Baba Yaga or Arch Princess Eridina. Um, he says he's going to bring some men in here, secure the place, secure the cobbles if they can. Uh, and we're going to teleport the dragon and drag it through the city. So when we get there with the dragon, Maravik tells Hellfire and Basker to like make a ruckus and stuff, so they start howling and like I say even like Maravik's like yelling like "Hail, Lord Lockhart," and I say Basker saying it too as he's barking. Maravik ends up telling the story of slaying the dragon to the people, hamming it up. I'm assuming making Lockhart look like the hero and stuff. Um, and then when he gets to the castle, I guess he proposes to the princess. Then they spend however long gathering up the dragon lords. The DM went through which dragon lord showed up and what their names are and stuff, but I didn't bother to take notes on that. Uh, but like immediately they hold a ceremony and wed the two, and then we end up having like a feast. They get married in a Russian traditional Orthodox ceremony, by the way. I forgot to add that. And now with the Dragon Lords aligning with the Arch Princess, the Winter Witch Queen, the White Witch Queen shows up and like pretty much making it look like she's showing support. And Spite ends up approaching Jezzy Baba and starts asking her a few questions. Like he asked if you saw a young witch before they came of age and started getting witch powers or hag powers, would you be able to tell that they were a witch? Um, she kind of is like if they're a true blood, then they're probably going to be raised by witches. So the chances of them already not knowing is slim. Uh, but she says that like naturally or regularly that there's a chance you might not be able to tell, but the only way to be 100% sure is whenever they hit like a certain, I guess their mid 20s is what I understand, they'll stop aging. And the whole time I'm asking this because I'm wondering, Armor Ready's a witch. And Jezzy Baba thinks I'm talking about the Arch Princess. So she's like, if in a few years we'll find out if she's a true witch or not. And like she starts talking about witchkins and stuff like that. She says how Rasputin is a witchkin. Like if he was a female, like he would probably be extremely high ranking. And like I even say, like he might have been a princess if if like since he's favored by Baba Yaga. And like again, like I said, I ask a few questions about if a true blood was raised around not witches, like would they know? And if I remember, she doesn't really give me a straight answer. And like I also bring up to her like whatever Naglo turned into Wicklin and de-aged, like did he change forms any? Does he look different? And she says, to be honest with you, I don't know. And she doesn't really know if anyone knows. And then she's like, there's I think she says there's like a group of psychic vampires. The one that's supposed to, at some point, we're supposed to ally ourselves with, supposing uh, that did see both of them, and it's probably the only person who would know. Again, I'm asking this because I'm wondering if Armoretti changed forms, if she's the witch. And then Smite takes Maravik to the side and gives her an update on what's going on with Hyde and Ur's scouting mission. Pretty much she tells him that there's a group of dwarves that aren't connected to the Dwarven Nation, that they're not part of the Dwarven Council, and like the way the Dwarven Council is that the five main clans always get the big chunk of the pie, and this group doesn't really seem to care for that, so they've decided to try to do their own thing. And she suggests, since there's mines in the Savage Lands we're trying to take over, that we should offer them a spot, have them work the mines, and start doing trade and stuff with them. Because kind of the way this is kind of playing out is that we're kind of trying to take the land before the coalition does. And then I go over her with what I talked to Amoretti about last session, where I've come to the conclusion that she's the thing that was wrong in the story was an alternate world, and not somebody did something or something was changed. Uh, and that also that we figured out there's the 5 year difference uh, suggests that it was Mistra 6.18, and I think already has met the witch that we're looking for, Ophelia. And I suggest that we take Arboretti there and maybe you'll like jog her memory. And she's like, that's something we have to think about. Kind of like we'll have to ask her if she's willing to, which I'm sure she will be. And like the satchel gets brought up, but it doesn't really get questioned about. Like she just brings it up and goes over the story again, but she doesn't say what's special about it, because like I get told to ask about it, but really nothing else comes of it besides getting acknowledged. um, and then after that, Craven and goes to talk to Baba Yaga. And Craven, because like I've said before, Craven's trying to marry into this gypsy family, and to marry into a gypsy, you have to be a gypsy. And since Craven is a dragon disciple, he has like scaly skin and stuff like that. They want to know why. Um, the little bit I picked up, at some point, like some dragon is in his lineage, but he starts asking Jizzy Baba if she knows anything about anything like this, and Jizzy Baba starts questioning him that it appears the only reason you want to know is for because of this marriage proposal, because the gypsies want to know, not because you want to know. And and he's just kind of like, eh. And like she's just kind of like, I think that's kind of weird that like you really don't seem to care. Like there's no, like you just start growing scales and you really have no interest in finding out why. Um, and like as a player, I'm thinking like Craven's like I'm a simple man that thinks simple thoughts, or it's like I grew skills and I was like, hey, cool. But eventually she does start saying most dragon she's I have encountered dragon disciples before, but the thing is most dragon disciples go out of their way to become dragon disciples. Like they go through a ritual, or they're willingly become it, where you just seem like you're just activated, and you're just activated and just kept going. Where some people are incredibly try to become one and they could only get to a certain point. And Craven's kind of like, well, whenever I became a Vatir, I viewed it as like I was reborn, like it was a awakening. Uh, And she's kind of like, yeah, like I kind of get that, but that's not how it usually works. Like most people are willing or open to the idea of becoming a dragon disciple and still can't do it. And she ends up, she says something about she doesn't know much about the spirit of the dragon, but there is like an order called the cult of the cult of the dragon that maybe he should talk to. Um, Something about how they're gone in her world, but they believe there's one in Mistra 1.9. Uh, so like Craven ends up going and talking to Maravik about it. Uh, and ask if she knows anything about the cult of the dragon. She says she doesn't. Says, "Do you want me to do research?" And like she kind of asks, like, "Was this something that's aiding you specifically?" And he's like, "Yeah." And kind of goes over why. And Maravik kind of goes over something that, to a point, me and the DMs talked about before, because when Johan came to Mistra, Johan's goal the whole time has to return home. Johan's goal has been to get to his families and loved ones. Because Johan came in at level 14, so there was like level 3 to 14 that Craven and whatever party adventured here before then. And from what I understand, they got here and they immediately made roots. Like they had no interest in returning home. And and Maravik kind of says, "Hey, I've always kind of thought it was your background, your story of your family, and how you have no second thoughts about it is kind of fucked up." And like pretty much, like from what I understand, like some group of vampires pretty much wiped out Craven's family, and he doesn't really know if they're alive. He doesn't know if they're dead. He doesn't know if they're vampires. And he's just kind of like, "Oh, I try not to think about it." And she's kind of like, "That's kind of out of character for you, because when it comes to everything else, you're like real big on action, like the killing undead, and if they were dead, the Craven I know would want to seek revenge." And he's just kind of like, "Yeah, maybe I need to think about it, look at things a little different." Again, he doesn't really give like a straight, like, full answer response to her, if I remember right. But he does kind of remit that it's cowardly that he hasn't pursued this. And Johan does get brought up because she says, like, "Johan, everything I would say about you, I could say about Johan. Or if Johan was here, Johan would attack this dragon. If there's an act to be done, Johan would do it because it's the right thing to do. But if you ask you what do you most desire, it'll be to marry the gypsy girl. And if you ask Johan, it would be to return home." So, like, he does everything you do, but his end goal is to return home. And Amoretti ends up going to talk to the White Witch Queen, Apashna Stilapag, is what I think I got her name down as. Uh, later on that, later on after that, Smite approaches Eridina and like ask her if we're taking interest in this war because they're fighting against uh, some type of hag fiend, a witch demon. So that's the witch. That's the leads we're going after, and she's kind of like, "We're going after all leads." So yeah, I kind of asked this because we're who knows how long we'll be here doing this. And then shortly after that, we end up going to a meeting with Lockhart, and Lockhart pretty much says we're going to war with the demon hag I talked about. Pretty much, he says that what we need is a strike force to hit her location, and like she has this device that's able to open vortexes, which is adding to her army. So if we destroy that, we'll stop her supply. And I ask a few questions about her herself, like is she just like a demon hag, or is she a hag that got possessed by a demon? And like I think I start off with asking, like, if she dies, is she gonna disappear like a regular fiend? Because I want to speak to dead with her. uh, the main goal was to talk to it so we could find out the save the multiverse or find the witch save the multiverse. And like Lockhart, again, Lockhart doesn't really give that great of an answer. But his more is because I don't know. It does like bring up something like maybe Jesse Baba has like a stone we could like separate the fiend from and trap it. And he's like, that sounds more realistic than because we were saying something about killing it or something. I can't remember. Or yeah, because he can't really kill a fiend. He'll go back to his natural plane and regenerate. And like when they ask Craven, what does Craven think? Craven's like, well, I guess we just sometimes just gotta go in guns a blazing. He's just kind of like, let's just do this now. And Smite's like, no, let's talk to Jesse Baba. Like, we'll just find out if she has anything we could use and if she knows anything about this hag. And so Jesse Baba gets summoned to this meeting. She tells us that she actually did know Maletta, and Maletta was one like I guess they ran together at one point. Jesse Baba was on the same side as them, uh, and Maletta like she talks about most deals with demons. How most deals with demons, they'll give you what you want, then when you die, you'll go to the hell dimension. But she says that some demons started changing the approach where they started possessing the person, and this was one of them occasions. To the High Countess Malagar, former Duke of Hell, and I guess inside her is possessing her as a handmaiden. Um, we go through a bunch of scenarios of what to do. I know at one point Craven asked Keaton if he could do something. It's like Keaton don't talk, but we talk about hexing her to where the demon gets trapped inside her. And then, like the DM looks through some stuff, and he says that in the treasury with the dragon, we found a wand that will bind someone to a plane. So pretty much teleport in there, hit her with the wand, and try not to kill her. And we have to capture or destroy this device that's making vortexes. And it gets brought up like, yeah, so like she's willingly possessed, and again, like Jesse Baba says, yeah, pretty much their motives align. Back in the day, Jesse Baba was also part of the war between the hags and the witches. And they decide to give the wand to Hellfire. We decide, do we want to do this now or wait for the whole campaign of the army, like in several days? We decide to do it now. Um, So we get the group together, go through a teleporter, the DM sets up a map, tells us we have a surprise round, and roll initiative. Let's old school DSP this and check it out. So initially, the whole group is like here-ish. Um, this is the teleporter. It disappears right after we teleport in. Uh, Initiative, it looks like Maravik, then Seville, Hellfire, Eridina, Basker, Mob, Lockhart, Smite. Then like it looks like a bunch of Mob, and then Craven and Father Keaton. So I know right off the bat, Maravik does her things. I know Seville holds and like yells at Hellfire to shoot the wand. Uh, I'd say Hellfire looks at her like she's so eager to tell me what to do. Why didn't she just do it herself? Because if I'm right, Craven's player was the one that said have Hellfire do it. Um, Hellfire shoots the thing. It's just touch attack. She ends up getting it, uh, and then pretty much everyone starts attacking. Uh, like Eridina starts shooting. Basker runs in. Basker runs in after this one. See, now the cool thing that ended up happening was like Basker, we get the surprise attack, so Basker runs in at this one. Uh, Naomi ends up blasting this one and ends up killing it in one round. Because we get told that there's going to be three hags there on top of the witch fiend. And then this one, once when it gets back around to Hellfire in the second round, she does crushing hands on this one. So, and then once when Basker gets around, he ends up killing that one on his turn. So, and there's no picture of her because we ended up taking her through the thing. Spoilers. Uh, but she's right there, and Craven ends up going up and grabbing her. I mentioned that this group is terrible for non-lethal damage. Me in particular, Smite goes into rage, Basker goes into rage, and Hellfire uses magic. So yeah, she's not doing non-lethal damage. But we get told that there'll be a handful of things called the Watchers in this room too, and apparently they're these. As you can see, they look like gray aliens in suits. They end up being pretty beefy. Like they had an incredibly high AC. I don't remember how hard they hit though. I don't think it was too bad. But slowly but surely, we end up wiping out the mob. Uh, I know near the end of the fight, it was like 4 in the morning for us at this time, and usually I do two of the Mountain Dew Fagos, but I ended up doing the two fireworks this night, and I only drank one of them probably because they were so sweet. So I remember I was so tired, and I ended up rolling a one with Smite. So I do a critical miss. It's the last attack out of three. Um, I try to do the damage on the first two, hoping that I'll kill it before I do the critical miss, but that doesn't happen. Roll percentile, roll a 100. I'm like, oh, that can't be good. Um, it ends up just being that I have to roll three more times. Luckily, all that happens is like my armor becomes a little bit of my armor comes off, and I lose 2 points of AC. Uh, but yeah, I tell the DM like, oh, I thought that was gonna be bad, and pretty much the DM says like there's bad things that could happen when you roll a critical one, and rolling three more times makes it more likely that something will happen. But the whole fight, Craven spends his time right there doing grapples on the demon fiend witch, uh, and eventually he ends up knocking it out. This hag came with us to put the hex spell on her, and so she ends up doing it. I know we end up like whenever she goes down, we stick to initiative for a while because like at first he's like, "Hey Smite, come over and help me," and the DM's like, "It's not Smite's turn." Eventually, I want to say Lockhart goes and ties her up, and that ends the battle. And a few more things happen after that. Uh, Maravik looks at the Watchers and says how they look like aliens. Uh, I ask if Basker would notice them from the old campaigns as looking like Greys. The DM says yes, like a real phatic yes. But where Basker's at on the map, he wouldn't have heard this conversation, so he doesn't say anything. Uh, but we drag her through the teleporter, search the bodies and all that good stuff. Like I mentioned something about if there's because in the map everything looks valuable. uh, the Diaz kind of says like anything specific besides that. Like I say, like it looks like there's like gold candles or something, um, candle holders. But that's where we end up wrapping up. Um, Future predictions. We still have a lot. We still have there's a lot of loose ends. Like I know there's those witches in front of the vortex. Also, I guess questioning. Yeah, I guess that'll be the main thing next session is figuring out what this demon hag knows. Um, so you want to find out? Check out my next video and check you later.